name is Starla Covarubia, and I will be giving an informative speech on how to deal with conflict. Truth is, everyone will deal with conflict at least once in their lifetime, but what really matters is how you choose to deal with it. Via Maurice once said, conflict is 10% difference in opinion and 90% wrong tone of voice. I myself have dealt with conflicts many times in my life, and I especially know how bad conflict can get when you don't know how to deal with it the right way. I have read many articles and I have spent hours studying, so I can inform you, the audience, on how to properly deal with conflict. By learning the different types of conflict and various strategies to manage it, you will know how to handle conflict in a more appropriate and positive way. Everyone comes across conflicts daily, and it's safe to say that you are not human if you do not. By knowing the different types of conflicts, we can use various strategies to have a better and more positive experience. There are 5 different types of conflicts. The 5 different types of conflicts are affective conflict, conflict of interest, value conflict, cognitive conflict, and goal conflict. To explain the 5 different types of conflicts, I have used them in examples that we can relate to or we have heard of. The first type of conflict is affective conflict. Affective conflict is when we have incompatible feelings for another person. An example of affective conflict is when we ourselves love a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, family member, or pet, and they just don't feel the same way about us. The second type of conflict is conflict of interest, and that's when we disagree about a certain plan of action or given circumstance. A good example of conflict of interest is when one of our family members believes that the Cowboys will win the Super Bowls this year, but our other family members think otherwise. The third conflict is value conflict, and that's the difference in ideologies between 2 relational partners. A good example of value conflict is when you have 2 parents of different religious backgrounds and they are trying to decide which religion they want to raise their kid as. The fourth type of conflict is cognitive conflict, and that's the difference in thought process, interpretation, and perceptions. Example of cognitive conflict is when you're watching football and you could have sworn that your favorite team made a touchdown, but the refs rule it as no good. The last type of conflict is goal conflict, and that's when people disagree about a final outcome. A good example of goal conflict is when you're looking for a new car and you're 100% certain that this is the car you want, but your other family member says otherwise. Needless to say, it's very, very, very easy to run across conflict daily. Jeffrey Member once said, "You can't solve problems until you understand the other side." Just like there are 5 types of conflict, there are 5 strategies to resolve it. The first strategy is dominating strategy, and that's when the person has a high concern for themselves and a very low concern for the other person. The second style is obliging style, and that's when the person has moderate concern for themselves but high concern for the relationship itself. The third strategy is compromising, and that's when both parties are willing to give up something in order to get something greater. The fourth strategy is to avoid conflict, and that's when a person chooses to walk away from the conflict. The fifth strategy is integrating, and that's when both parties have a high level of concern for themselves. Different types of conflict call for different strategies to resolve them. Not every conflict will get resolved, and not every conflict is the same. How you choose to deal with conflict is totally up to you, but by being informed on the different types of conflict and the different strategies, I hope you can find the best way to resolve a conflict. Throughout your life, you will come across conflict daily, whether it be in your place of work, with your family, or maybe even with friends. I hope you have taken in the information I have presented and will know different ways to resolve conflict so you can have a better and more positive outcome. Thank you for listening to my presentation.